The big thing that we wanted to really touch on today is where is the sweet spot in the market? Where is that real area, those areas that investors must be targeting? I think there's a bit of confusion about that because of the fact that we hear so much about the regionals outperforming the city markets, and many of the city markets have become unaffordable for investors to get into. The yields are terrible. There's a much more of an acceptance about moving to those regional markets where the price points are so much more affordable, the rental yields and so forth make that holding experience better, but we know that not all of those areas are the same.
No, they're not. We've obviously focused for many years around regional areas, but big satellite cities, big regional hubs with plenty of infrastructure, plenty of planned future public or private and government infrastructure coming. And they're the ones that we're seeing getting the best results right now. Although you could probably put a scattergun across a whole heap of regions and see some growth, but our big targeted regional areas over the last decade really have just booming.
Mate, we kind of at times have been judged because we've put so much focus into understanding and investing into those regional markets. Sometimes the city investors have been closed. Their minds have been closed to the idea of going to a regional market. Now everybody is very much, on that bandwagon, I guess, but they're also now starting to understand that it's been a lot of calculated decisions in the areas that we've targeted because, gone are the days where you go to a regional market and you're missing out on things. They've got all of the major shopping chains. They've got all of that infrastructure that you'd expect in a city environment anyway. It's really, it's quite interesting how much people are sort of discovering these big key regional markets and realising that they've got everything they could possibly need at quite often half the price.
100%. And until you get on the ground and talk to the locals, talk to the agents, get a feel of, do your research behind that infrastructure and population growth, then you start to get a feel and you can see infrastructure pop up. You can see restaurants get built. You can see new cafes, general energy around the town. But it can take a few years to really kick in. But again, until you get on the ground and you see, and you got to give some of these towns are beautiful towns. They feel good.
They are lifestyle areas, right?
They are.
Now, the big thing I think that's happening as well, we hear so much about the lockdowns, and of course, our hearts go out to those people that have been through horrific periods of long lockdowns, multiple lockdowns. But we do know in a lot of those regional cities and so forth, they're booming. They're absolutely booming, mate. It's really, they're benefiting so much from the whole COVID experience. It's accelerated. Many of those areas were expected to grow anyway. It's been well researched, the downsizes that are coming. There's 1.6 million homes preparing to sell and downsize out of our biggest cities. Most of those people are looking to move somewhat towards outlying areas, coastal regions, or really into those regional markets. Mate, It looks like a real big boom time ahead.
Well, it's just a continuation of what I was just saying. It's people are really in touch with lifestyle. Developers, big land, public companies, some of our biggest developers in the land space, apartment developers, are all changing what the product they're delivering.
Moving their model, right?
The land model, you won't see so much of a tightening of the land size. Lots are going to get bigger. People want a bit of lifestyle, want a bit of backyard. And apartments are changing as we speak.
Yeah.
Even DA approved apartments that are potentially about to come out of the ground getting relodged for a new configuration.
Yeah.
Which is more around amenity. So there's certain COVID has changed people's way of living.
Mate, forever. I believe it really has been a major impact, not just for the short term, lifestyle and, affecting businesses and so forth. It's changed the dynamic of the property market forever. That's absolute. What we're now seeing is, I guess, if there was a clear, safer pathway for a astute investor to follow and make sure that they're not just, jumping in and throwing a dart, anywhere at Australia, thinking that all regional markets would be the same. We'd strongly suggest, I'm sure you'd agree 100% with this, you'd strongly suggest that they stay within a pretty easy, accessible, range of area from major airports, major hospitals, universities, those real major regional hubs.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really where the job creation is as well. And then you put construction and the growth, the population estimates into those areas, so you've got jobs around those big infrastructure ticket items,
So don't go chasing a little town that's 200 kilometres from the nearest major hospital or airport or whatever. Stay within an easy commute of, easy access to the hospitals and the things that those ageing Australians are going to need, because that's the next big wave, I believe, of population that's going to spill into those areas.
Yeah, those smaller regional towns, you're probably getting a bit speculative. You're not going to get the returns, you're not going to get the growth that these other areas are. So, you've got... there's still regional towns we don't go to.
Yeah.
So you've got to be selective in where you plan on investing.
Yeah, and I think, mate, that's, at the moment, those markets that we're targeting, the vacancy rates are so tight, historic low, it's like rental crisis. An investor coming in, the quality of tenant, the rental yield, it's often double, if not more, than what they could get in a city market. It just seems to be, like I said, the real sweet spot in that investment market at the moment.
It is, mate. It is.